This video is sponsored by Studio Bebop and YugiOhPrices.com for all your pricing needs. Now available on the App Store. For more information, check the description below. What's up guys, this is Lintheo coming at you with just a discussion video on Lavals really. I mean I was thinking, what happened to Lavals? Because Lavals everyone was going nuts about them because they've got molten conduction field, which is just a busted card that allows them to mill 2 foolish burials, basically the card is, but it also works in tangent with Handmaiden, so basically you mill 5 Lavals. I was just, and then obviously they've got the access to the rekindling, and rekindling hasn't been hit, and molten conduction field hasn't been hit because they haven't been relevant last format, because basically nothing was relevant apart from prophecy and E-Dragons. But now prophecies have gone back to kind of what they used to be, and E-Dragons are not as they were. The people are starting to latch on to like plant dragons, for example, but they're not going to be as good as they were. And people can argue with me until they're blue in the face, but they will not be as good as they were last format. So it's kind of thinking, what's the future for Lavals? A lot of people are going to argue they're not relevant until Quasar gets reprinted over here, until it's legal, and I kind of do agree, because Lavals can access Quasar like no fucking deck can. Maybe what are they called? Maybe Fabled can access them just as easily, but the deck is pretty stupid. And now with all the new synchro support coming out, all these new synchro monsters, I think Lavals can only get better, and they can only increase from here. They're a very aggressive deck, as we all know, but they have cards that that can pop face down, Lava Lakeside Lady. Then you've got Cannoneer, which just gets them all back, and you've got like an instant. They can do like not Quasar, sorry. They can do like Black Rose plays like so easily, and just wipe out your field, and then rekindling and kill you. I just think the deck is like quite overlooked, and I do know that the format hasn't even basically started yet, but I haven't heard anyone even considering the fact of playing Lavals, and I think Lavals could be quite a good deck next format. I do realise that Evilsworn Orpheon is a card, it's still at 3, and people are still going to be using Orpheon, but that doesn't mean that you can't run Lavals. Like Heretics, I run Heretics, I run into Evilsworns, like, right, okay, fair enough, you've basically got this game won, so now I'm going to side into all the hate for you now. It's like, I think people should look into Lavals a lot more, because now that obviously back row's gone, this is going to turn into a fairly aggressive format, I feel. I don't think everyone's going to be running back row. I think there's going to be more OTK decks than back row decks, personally, because I just don't see the reason why people would want to try and do slower decks when they're going to have to kind of branch out to newer back row cards, which is not a problem, and like that's what Konami want to do. They want to encourage it, but I feel that aggressive decks are the way to go for at least the first month or so. And I think Lavals could be the way to go in one aspect. Like, even if you're playing someone who's got like a lot of back row, just use Trapstone. Trapstone or Royal Decree, something like that. The deck can main 3 MSTs. You can add in Night Beams if you really want. And it's just so good. It's just the fact that you can do Rekindling at 3. You can just go multi-conduction field and Rekindling first turn. You're just like, well, I'm set now, basically, because you'll end up sending 2 level 4s. And well, a level 4 and the level 1 Handmaiden, then Handmaiden, then Handmaiden, then something else. So it's just so good. I just think the deck's like really viable and really good. And obviously there isn't just the synchro deck. You can do Larval XYZ, in which you are using like your Flamefell Magicians, your Fire Dogs, and more of the level 4s. But you can argue that it's not as good as the synchro version, because let's face it, that's what the deck is. It's turbo synchro, and I feel that deck with like Karkardis, and then you have your Swiss Scarecrows, and then you have your hand traps like your Gauls or your Trags, I just think that deck can be so good. And I think it's severely overlooked currently, but I hope that it does come up because I do like Lavals, as I'm sure you've seen videos, my deck profiles of it like a couple of formats ago. I think it was 2 formats ago. But I just think the deck's really good. I think it's overlooked. I think people should look into it. I think it's definitely a contender, and especially now with Deep Prison and Macro to 1, hardly anyone's playing them now. There's no point even siding them. Because they're just it's a 1 in 40-ish card, depending on how many you run, how many total cards you run. It's like 1 in a 40 card, and I just think that's one of the main problems that Lavals had. You banish them, you're screwed because that gets rid of the Immortal Conduction field, gets rid of your Rekindling, and it's just bad. Like there's no way to get around it then. The only thing I can see that they lost off the ban list was Golden Sarcophagus, because they did use it. A lot of people used it at 2 or 3 just because you could just Gold Sarc, set that Rekindling out, and just be like, you're right, you've basically got 2 turns to kill me, hurry up. Or I'm just going to Rekindling you and hurt you. And again, another one that's got hit, but it was pro Larval hit, is Bottomless Trap Hole. Bottomless Trap Hole's to 1 now. And that was one of the worst things. You do Rekindling, they Bottomless Trap Hole, and you just want to be like, right, let's concede this game. So, yeah, that's basically it. I just wanted to give a bit of discussion on Lavals. Tell me what you guys think of Lavals. Do you think they're trash? Do you think they're good? Do you think they'll be making an appearance finally this format? Or do you just think people have forgotten about them? It's not worth spending time and spending people's resources, time and effort and testing into making this deck work. Alright, cheers guys, thank you very much.